What is happening at J Game Dude here? And let's talk about Silent Hill 2 for a second. So, Silent Hill 2 Remake is coming up. We know that. Apparently it's been dated for this year, right? October. Cool. So, I vaguely remember that off the top of my head. But I'm not excited for it. The game looks off, visually speaking. The combat feels a bit jank, but I suppose that's kind of to be expected. We're talking about an older game here that's kind of being remade. But it does feel a little bit soulless, at least from the trailers that I've seen, and my perspective as someone who absolutely loves the game and does want to, go back to it. Granted, I do have the the God Awful HD collection for PS3 that I could just, pop in and play anytime, but I do still want to give this remake a try, I guess. So, as it turns out, Bloober team is more than aware about how skeptical we are, fans of the series rather, about a Silent Hill 2 remake. Because you're remaking one of the most beloved horror games of all time, it does stand to show, hey, can you actually do it right? Resident Evil 4, trying to remake that, now that was suicide, but the thing is that it turns out, Capcom actually had some really good ideas, improved it, and actually made it really good. So, the thing is that it is possible, however, a healthy dose of skepticism is always, I feel like, warranted in these sorts of situations. But yeah, Bloober team, let's just talk about Bloober team for a second and just where their head's at, knowing that everyone is kind of skeptical about Silent Hill 2 remake. Bloober team CEO Petra, I'll just call him Petro, has admitted that the team is well aware of how skeptical fans are about it handling the Silent Hill 2 remake, and that it wants a chance to prove itself. That's interesting because the games that were made by Bloober team so far have been alright horror games, but the thing is that if you're not into horror games, you're going to think they're bad games. Alright, like, it's the same thing with horror movies. So, the general consensus around something is lower than, say, the fan of of the horror genre, and they have been doing a pretty bad job of it. Silent Hill fans have spent the last decade and a bit begging Konami to do anything with the series after ditching it in 2012 and ruining the chance for a revival with Hideo Kojima in 2014, which was PT. Keeping in mind, we don't have much in the way of confidence that things are actually going to go well, and that is a very good example. The fact that PT is no longer a thing, or could have been a thing, hurts to our bones, hurts to our core. Maybe we might not have gotten Death Stranding, but PT looks so damn good, let me tell you. Well, it only took 8 years, but that's exactly what's been happening ever since Konami announced in 2022 that it was bringing back the series in several big ways. While it's true Silent Hill fans got their wish, it did feel less like it was granted by a monkey's paw when it was revealed that Bloober team would be remaking Silent Hill 2, one of the most beloved and carefully crafted horror games of all time. Bloober team has received criticism in the past for how it handles sensitive topics and subtle scares, so it's only fair that fans are very skeptical. Also, Bloober team's games, not scary at all. Worth mentioning that it tries to go in a psychological manner, but not in the way in which Silent Hill does it, where Silent Hill does it way better than anything Bloober team has ever done. Even Silent Hill 4, which is probably one of the worst Silent Hill games, is still way better than pretty much everything Bloober team has ever made. But I digress. During the interview, Babino notes that it's aware of the criticism that some fans have levied against Bloober since Silent Hill 2 Remake was revealed. In response, he says he wants gamers to trust Bloober, but that he knows that trust will come through in the final product. Babino also expresses how important Silent Hill 2 is to him and the team, which is causing them to be even more careful with it. The thing is that if you really want it to be, if you want to remake it, ideally you want to keep it as close to the original product as it can be, even if it is like 99.99% of the way. It's not 100%, but that 99.99%, that's still good enough. Look, what games have Bloober team made? They've done the horror game with the painter. I forgot what that was called. And then they also did the Blair Witch game, which was actually not particularly good. In fact, it was just some random walking simulator where you died because you walked over some leaves the wrong way. And then you have a horror game about The Medium, pretty much. The Medium was the other one. Looking at their titles, I'm not enthused about any of them. And in fact, they're mostly just walking simulators. They aren't particularly scary, and in fact have actually had the opposite effect of making you laugh when you probably shouldn't. Also, when it was talking about sensitive subjects, yeah, there is a lot of that in Silent Hill, but the way Bloober Team had done it in The Medium, which was their newest title since working on this particular project, it was poorly done. Because the only way to deal with your trauma that is haunting you and trying to kill you is to kill yourself. Like, that wasn't... There are other ways you could have done it. And the thing is that you don't generally tend to be upfront with the trauma. It's more a case of... what's the word? Working your way around it in a more subtle... Like, getting over it is usually some sort of, like, you know, problem solving that's done through the story. Anyway, I'm not going to speak too much on that because I don't want to give too much away, especially with Silent Hill 2. But it's very difficult to, you know, trust Bloober Team to do a good job of it. It's even harder to trust Konami to do anything with it. So, is this the better perspective to have? Who knows? I just kind of wish we had gotten PT, to be completely honest. And that would have spawned a brand new franchise out of Silent Hill completely, rather than trying to recapture the old and trying to bring that back. So that's very much something that does make me want to think, hey, is this really such a good idea? Is this really ideal? Is this the way to really do things? And I think especially with older franchises, what the rumor leak, well, not even a rumor, but like the leak of potentially us getting Soul Reaver remakes or Legacy of Kain remasters rather, of two titles, one on PS1 and one on PS2. That being said, if they were to make a brand new Legacy of Kain game, I would be very, very worried because it wouldn't be the same as those original titles. So the same thing here. And in fact, remastering versus remaking seems like a better idea, but then you don't want the game industry to turn into what the film industry is and keep, you know, remastering and remaking games over and over, and that's kind of all we're getting, but that we're not getting any new IPs, new franchises and things like that. Otherwise, you know, when the PS3 launched with and then like a year later we got Uncharted, like if people didn't give that game a shot, we probably wouldn't get an Uncharted 2, 3, 4, Lost Legacy, the Uncharted Vita game, and hell, even Uncharted Fight for Fortune, which was a card game exclusive to the Vita. So yeah, like, we need to give games a chance, but there's also so many releasing at the moment that it's just also just not even funny, given there's a decent amount of shovelware in there as well. So yeah, what I'm thinking is it's probably not such a good idea to recapture the past, but try to move forward and re-establish the meaning of what older franchises could be. But also, I don't want people to touch older franchises, especially in the modern day where there are a lot of complaints going around about DEI and things like that kind of kicking in to the conversation. So I don't know, it's very difficult to think about, very difficult to talk about, and honestly, it's not really worth kicking the hornet's nest about it. That being said, though, let me know what you guys think about all of this in the comments below. I would actually very much like to hear your thoughts about it. And if you feel like I've deserved it, you can throw a few bucks my way. I've put a link to my Patreon in the description below. Like the video if you liked it. Subscribe to the channel. I'm aiming for 300 subs by the end of the year. And with all that said and done, I do upload every day, so I'll see you guys tomorrow.